That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, this week we're going to go through and look at some over-unders. Maybe we get to some team totals. Maybe we do that in another video. And if you are new to the channel, no, I am not trying to act like we are some professional sports bettors here. I mean, I think that anybody really coming on YouTube and telling you, oh, listen to me, I got the picks. I know the algorithm. Trust me, I know how to beat these sports books. They're lying to you. If you look at the overall sample, if people can beat sportsbooks reliably over a long enough time, they get limited at those books, and there's no such thing in reality as a quote-unquote professional sports bettor, at least on YouTube. Maybe there are some people overseas that are going to be able to get away with it, and they are going to be able to put bets at high volume, even if they have proven to be profitable players. Very rarely, that's the case. So please don't be going out of your way and buying Mr. Machasmo coming out and trying to sell you his sports picks for $800 for week 2. You're literally getting gypped. It's called a scam. Please don't be doing that. But we can have a ton of fun sports betting. We can go through, we can look at these games, have some fun with the teams that we may be picking. And of course, we're going to continue to do things like this all season. We are going to continue to give you my picks and also our player props. Player props, I think that's where we can be profitable, whereas picking the lines on NFL games, extremely tough to do. So let's go through and let's pick some of these out. Make sure you drop that like, subscribe to the channel. And the first game is going to be Thursday night. The New York Giants play the Washington football team, where you actually have the Washington football team as 3-point favorites in this matchup. Now, a couple things here. Obviously, Fitzmagic is going to be missing this game, and that will lower the overall ceiling with what you could have from the Washington football team. I will say Taylor Heinicke, obviously, he does have that history with the coaching staff in Ron Rivera. But what I'm a little worried about here is just the lack of overall offensive weapons for Washington. Now you're looking at it and saying Curtis Samuel is also missing from this game. And while Curtis Samuel, if you're talking fantasy football, not necessarily a great asset because the target volume is not going to be there. However, what he can do in terms of the role that he has on his offense, there's a reason that they paid him a ridiculous amount of money. Now, I don't want to be looking at this offense from Los Angeles last week and just naturally assume that we're going to have everything directly carry over there, because obviously Los Angeles has a pretty damn good defense, a lot better than what you're going to have from the New York Giants. The Giants, on the other hand, I mean, they have that quarterback that's a little more of a wild card in Daniel Jones, that, yes, the turnovers are a concern. You have Saquon Barkley 1 week healthier. You have Kenny Golladay 1 week healthier. You have Kadarius Toney coming back in. And we can acknowledge that Washington has quite possibly the best defense in the NFL. But at the end of the day, if you're laying 3 points here, I honestly think we're going to take the points in the New York Giants. We also know on Thursday night, keep in mind, I have no stats to prove this. This is more so just thinking back, going down narrative street, that Thursday nights, these games are a little less predictable. I think we probably want to be going with the under if the point spread's going to be 3 and Washington's favored. So yeah, take New York +3 for that one. And yeah, we can go through and also throughout this entire series, we can track my record week to week and show you all exactly how stupid I really am. But now our next matchup is going to be the Denver Broncos and the Jacksonville Jaguars, where the Denver Broncos are 6-point favorites. And obviously, the Jags coming off of a horrendous week where they just got blown out of the water by the Houston Texans. And also with the Denver Broncos, they just put up an impressive win over the New York Giants, and they did lose Jerry Jeudy, which is going to be significant in trying to figure out if their offense can continue to roll forward. I will say, with the depth that they have at the position with both KJ Hamler and Tim Patrick, I'm not too concerned about Denver here. Now, I want to be betting long on Trevor Lawrence. Urban Meyer does look like he could be a stone cold donkey. So this bet is honestly probably going to be a stay away for me. What I'm probably going to do with these videos as we go through the entire season is I'm probably going to be, at the minimum, having to choose 5 sides. I want to give myself some leeway where if there's a line like this where we get 6 points with the Jacksonville Jaguars, that I probably just want to be staying away. I don't want to be having to go out there and make a pick if I wouldn't make the bet in real life. So this is going to be a stay away game for me. I think that the line 6 is pretty good. If I had to take a team, we would probably take the points with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But to be honest, that's not going to go on the official record. I think that is too damn close to call. Now our next game, this is not going to be a close game for us. You have Miami playing the Buffalo Bills. And yes, the Bills looked pretty bad against an elite Pittsburgh Steelers unit last week. But at the end of the day, I just think the difference that you have from a talent perspective between the two teams, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but also on the defense, the concerns that we have with Miami is more so going to be centered around their offensive line. We just saw the defensive line for Buffalo really be able to take advantage of the lack of offensive line talent in Pittsburgh. I don't see a reason why this is going to be any different. However, I actually think that you are going to have Josh Allen in a get-right spot. I think that this has to be one of the easiest calls of the week. Maybe I'm underestimating how Will Fuller can also open up the offense for the Miami Dolphins coming back in from his suspension last week. Yes, it was a very close game between Miami and New England, but you look at New England, some dumb turnovers that I don't necessarily think we can predict coming into this next week. So we're going to go Buffalo, and this is going to be on the official record. We're taking Buffalo minus 3.5. This is the first game that we are actually taking the favorite to win. And now our next matchup. Oh, this is supposed to be the blowout of the week. We have the Cleveland Browns playing the Houston Texans, where the Browns are 12.5 point favorites to 11 point favorites, depending on the sportsbook that you're looking at. This is, in my opinion, maybe the most aggressive line that you're going to see all season, but this is what you should expect from the Houston Texans. I know Houston looked decent last week, but we know that also football is a very random game. Football, a very small sample. It's going to be hard to draw too much based off that 1 week that you had against Jacksonville. More so, I think we should be going with the previous value that we had of this overall team and the previous evaluation that we had coming into the 2021 season. So while you are getting a ton of points with Houston here, and obviously if you're getting 12.5 points, that's a spread that's so large to take the other side. I hate to do this. I feel like this is maybe the dumb spot to go. I feel like maybe this is where the public money is going to be on this side of the bet. We're probably taking Cleveland over 12.5. This could easily look extremely dumb the following week, but given that the Cleveland defense put up a respectable stop to the Mahomes-led offense of the Kansas City Chiefs in the first half last week, as well as Cleveland was in a position where they got out early against the Kansas City Chiefs, the Houston Texans aren't going to have the firepower to come back from a deficit like that, where I think that the Browns, they're built to take a lead and then sustain a lead. I know it didn't happen last week, but it's a good defense, a great running game. So it's crazy. We're taking the Browns minus 12.5. Put it on the official books. Now our next game is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals and the Chicago Bears, where the Bengals are going to be 3-point underdogs. I don't want to say this is the lock of the week, but I think this is a very confident selection for us to make. Here with the Chicago Bears, their defense did not look anything special this past week. And obviously, this was a game that everybody was watching here. I don't necessarily know what I'm missing, where we do have Jamar Chase looking like he's breaking out right away. We obviously know there's just so much talent across that entire Cincinnati Bengals offense. The offensive line is a concern. However, I was slightly impressed with what we had against Minnesota this past week, considering this is a younger unit. So it's crazy to say. I don't want to call it the lock of the week. We'll go through the entire video and we'll give the lock of the week at the very end. But Cincinnati +3 here has to be a fantastic bet. Am I missing something? We're 100% going to be going Cincinnati +3. And now our next matchup is going to be the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles, where the 49ers are 3.5 point favorites. And obviously both teams with extremely impressive performances this past week. Now I'll say, with the Philadelphia Eagles, it seems like this is one of those spots like we saw with just the Green Bay Packers this past week that I think it's going to be very hard to take anything away from that Atlanta game, where yes, they looked fantastic, but Atlanta with a new head coach in a situation where they were missing out on Julio Jones, bringing in Kyle Pitts. Obviously, you can't be excited about the Atlanta defense at the same time. It's really hard to go through and say with confidence that we know exactly who the Philadelphia Eagles are. I think that nobody's going to be surprised if you see them go up against a very good 49ers defense this upcoming week. I know the 49ers gave up a lot of points to the Detroit Lions this past week, but keep in mind that game was blown out from the very beginning. I think the 49ers, they were more so just making sure the clock was running in the second half, willing to give up 10-yard chunk plays to just avoid the 40-yard bomb. I think that you are most likely going to have the 49ers coming out, and I don't want to say handling this game with confidence, but I would personally have the 49ers minus 3.5. I just think this is going to be a spot where we really get to see exactly who Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles are. 49ers fully healthy. Hopefully we get Brandon Ayuk in more than just a decoy role this upcoming week. So we're going to go with the 49ers. And our next game, the New Orleans Saints versus the Carolina Panthers. There's no way these lines are right. I'm going to have to go through and I'm going to have to look up some alternate betting lines because we're looking at this spread being 3.5 Saint point favorites. Of course, Jameis Winston is going to have a wide range of outcomes here. And yes, he looks fantastic last week, but it was going to be in a situation where Jameis he never had to aggressively push the ball down the field. It was more so, okay, we can just sit back, we can relax with what we're going to have from Jameis Winston. So it's surprising to see that this game is so close where, yeah, we're pulling up another sports book and they have the Saints as 3-point favorites over the Carolina Panthers. If you can find that line where you can bet the Saints -3 versus the Carolina Panthers, the Panthers, yes, their defense was slightly impressive against Zach Wilson, a rookie quarterback with a new head coach to that scenario. And also, you add the New York Jets without some offensive weapons there. Elijah Moore, also a rookie. Corey Davis, a first-year player in New York. Everything was changing for the New York Jets. So I don't want to be giving the Carolina Panthers defense that much credit for taking advantage of a team that really had no chemistry whatsoever together. I hate to say it, we're going to go with the lock of the week. The New Orleans Saints -3 against the Carolina Panthers. Oh my gosh, that just seems like a fantastic line. And now our next game is going to be the Los Angeles Rams against the Indianapolis Colts, where you do have the Rams as 4-point favorites here. Now, I will say that this line does look like it's efficiently priced. I'm going to be hard to go through and make a confident selection on either side of this. If I was going to have to make a play, I would be going with the Indianapolis Colts +4, hoping that Quentin Nelson and Carson Wentz, 100% healthy this upcoming week, can really go through and run the ball with effectiveness against the Los Angeles Rams team that had David Montgomery looking pretty good this past week. So I don't love this line. I don't know if we want to put it in the official bets, but I think the Indianapolis Colts +4 will be a spot that if I had to choose a side on this game, that's where I'm going. Now, our next game, the Las Vegas Raiders against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where the Steelers are 5.5-point favorites, and the Steelers defense looked fantastic against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. Now, here with the Pittsburgh's defense, I don't necessarily just want to assume that they're going to be able to shut out every team as they did with the Buffalo Bills, even though the Buffalo Bills are a great offense. Still, it's going to be hard to just naturally assume that you're going to have the Steelers being able to take a commanding lead and milk the clock down with that defense. I think a lot of these Steelers games are going to be closer than most people are expecting. 5.5 does seem a little aggressive whenever the Raiders were able to move the ball effectively down the field against the Ravens. Keep in mind, the Ravens did have a banged up secondary. So here, we're probably going to take the points. I think we take Raiders 5.5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, our next game is going to be the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. It's going to be a stay away for me. I'm going to be completely honest. I have no idea what to expect here. Obviously, rookie quarterback Zach Wilson, rookie quarterback Mac Jones. The Patriots are 5.5-point favorites. If you have a strong opinion on any of these games, please let me know in the comment section below. I am not going to be able to make a call of that. I think that's a clear stay away. Then after this, we have the Minnesota Vikings, the Arizona Cardinals, where the Cardinals are 4.5-point favorites. This is surprising here after seeing the Cardinals look pretty good on defense, and obviously Kyler Murray, the god on offense. I think that you do want to take the Arizona Cardinals a -4.5. I'm surprised that Vegas is giving Minnesota this much credit after putting up a very close contest with Cincinnati. I don't see an argument to be made on why Minnesota is going to be an improved team this week based on what they were the previous. So yeah, we're going to go the Cardinals. I think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively with very high efficiency, even though they're going to be one of those offenses like the Bills. They're going to throw. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were both able to take advantage. No reason to expect that DeAndre Hopkins won't be able to. Now our next game, the Atlanta Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 12.5 points is the spread. Just like what you had with the Houston Texans and the Cleveland Browns, where we actually took the Browns -12.5. Well, here I think that we go and we say, you know what? We're taking the Atlanta Falcons and the points. Now, with Atlanta, I think this is going to be an up and down team all year based on a couple different things, like we already discussed, that new head coach, as well as Kyle Pitts, his rookie season. Hoping that we can get him implemented into this system sooner rather than later. And yes, Jalen Hurts looked fantastic. This Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is a completely different roster than what you actually had with Philadelphia. Living in Tampa, I want to be rooting for Tampa this season, but 12.5 points seems like a lot for a quarterback that we know, Matt Ryan, can move the ball down the field efficiently. We have seen it season after season after season. The Falcons are never a team that are going to be built up to run the ball like we know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is built to stop the run. So I think that Atlanta at 12.5 points, that's probably just too big of a spread. Now our next game is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Dallas Cowboys, where we do have the Chargers as 3-point favorites here. I think that we're actually going to be taking the Cowboys quite confidently. I mean, a lot of people are just wanting to focus in on the fact that the Cowboys weren't able to establish the run whatsoever against Tampa this past week. But you have to keep in mind, that was a Tampa defense that is elite at stopping exactly what the Cowboys were wanting to do with running Ezekiel Elliott. I think they skew a little more run heavy with the Michael Gallup injury. I'm not expecting the efficiency of the offense to take too much of a dip. And I was extremely impressed by an offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys that was not fully informed. That offensive line should have the majority of their pieces back in week 2. And keep in mind, I mean, they held up quite nicely. They gave Dak Prescott a significant amount of time in the pocket this past week. I just think that here with Dallas, you're going to have it as a spot where the offensive line will provide enough for the overall offense to just continue to push the ball down the field. And this is going to be a shootout. I mean, the over-under on this is 55 points. You should expect this to be a very high-scoring week. And now our next game will be the Seattle Seahawks versus the Tennessee Titans, where the Seahawks are 5.5-point favorites. Here we're going to be taking the points yet again. I mean, you're seeing a trend. We're just going take the points, take the points, take the points. This matchup's going to be no different. I think the Seahawks do win this game. I think it's a little closer. I think the Tennessee Titans possibly look to slow it down just a little bit to get their offense on track and mainly just control the game with Derrick Henry. And yeah, I know Russell Wilson looks like he could be in a spot to just tear this team up based on what we had with Kyler Murray last week, but still, I think it's so hard to go out there and say that with confidence. Now, our next game is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Baltimore Ravens, where the Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites after losing pretty much the entire game to Cleveland until coming back at the very end. I think that we want to be taking the Chiefs here quite easily. I think people are not giving Cleveland enough credit for how good of a team they actually are. So while, yes, Lamar Jackson looked great on Monday night, while, yes, I mean, you had some spectacular plays and also some turnovers that probably will be corrected coming into this next week. This is always a game that everybody's looking forward to. I can't wait to watch it. I think we're going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs because while, yes, the Chiefs did have that close game with the Browns, I think the Browns are probably a better team than the Ravens, to be honest. And our last game of the week, we have the Green Bay Packers as 10.5-point favorites against the Detroit Lions. I think that the Packers are in a clear bounce back spot. 10.5 does seem very aggressive for me, however. So this will be a game where I'm hesitant to make the bet, but we're going Packers minus 10.5. Go with Rodgers, go with Aaron Jones, go with Devontae Adams and a defense that has a lot to prove. It's not like Winston came down and marched down the field 80 yards every single time to get that team within striking distance to throw that passing touchdown. I mean, Winston did that on a very limited amount of pass attempts. It was more so that you had some dumb turnovers by the Green Bay Packers that did give the New Orleans Saints a great field position where they could score effectively. I think that game mainly fluky. I'm going to be betting on the bounce back from the Green Bay Packers. We're going to take the 10.5 points, throw them out the window. We're going to take Devontae Adams and this team that I'm rooting for so much with them even being minus 10.5. Now, thank you. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. Of course, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I'm not trying to act like we are some professional sports bettor here, and we'll try to get an official record to keep up to date at the very beginning of every single one of these videos. Sorry that we did not do this in week 1, but we'll do this every single week through the rest of the season. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all. I really hope you all enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel, drop that like, and have a great day.